Let me tell you something that still makes my skin crawl. Because what happened to me in the fall of 2021, it didn't feel like a horror movie. It felt worse because it was real. At first, it was nothing, just little sounds at night. A creak, a shuffle, maybe the AC kicking on weird. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment in a quiet town, tucked above an old bakery. Rent was decent, the ceilings were high, and the only thing I really had to complain about was my roommate. He was a quiet guy, kept to himself mostly. We'd met through Facebook Marketplace. He paid rent on time and never made a mess. Honestly, he was perfect, almost too perfect. The first time I noticed something off was around 3:30 in the morning. I'd been dead asleep when I woke up suddenly. No noise, no dream, just wide awake. The kind of awake where your chest is tight and you don't know why. I rolled over and checked my phone. 3:32 a.m. Nothing strange. No messages, just dark. Then a sound. Software. But definitely there. It came from below me, under the bed. You ever feel your heart freeze? Not stop, not speed up, just pause. Like your body isn't sure if it's in danger or just dreaming. I sat there in the silence, holding my breath. Told myself it was nothing. Maybe the floorboards settled. Maybe I dropped something and forgot. I leaned over the edge of the bed and looked underneath. Nothing. Just shoes. A hoodie. Some dust. I exhaled. Rolled back over. Told myself I was just being paranoid. But that wasn't the last time. The next few nights, I heard it again. Always around the same time. Between 3 a.m. and 3:45 a.m. A shuffle. A slide. A faint breath. I stopped sleeping well. Started staying up late. Lights on. Watching YouTube videos I didn't even care about. I considered telling my roommate, but it felt weird. What was I gonna say? Hey man, I think something's under my bed at 3 a.m. He'd think I was nuts. But something was happening. Then came the sock. One morning, I woke up and noticed something strange on my nightstand. A single sock. Not mine. It was balled up neatly, placed right next to my phone. I stared at it for a solid minute, trying to figure out if I was still dreaming. It wasn't dirty, but it had a weird smell, like sweat, and something else, something sour. I walked straight into my roommate's room, knocked, no answer. I tried the handle, locked. That was the first time I realized I'd never actually been inside his room. Later that day, I waited for him to come home from work. When he walked in, same quiet look on his face, same polite nod. I said, "Hey, you leave a sock on my nightstand?" He blinked, then smiled. Nah, why would I do that? He didn't even ask to see it. Didn't seem confused or curious, just dismissive, too dismissive. That night, I didn't sleep at all. I started doing subtle tests. I'd place my shoes differently before bed, see if they'd moved in the morning. I set a water bottle next to the bed with the cap loose, marked the water line. The next day, it was lower. Maybe I was losing it. Maybe I was sleepwalking. Maybe it was just nerves. But then came the worst night of my life. It was 3:08 a.m. when I heard it again. Only this time, it wasn't just a shuffle. It was a voice, a faint whisper from under the bed. "He's not asleep yet." I froze. My hands went cold. My mouth dried instantly. "Shh, wait," the voice said. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. My body locked up, pure terror anchoring me to the bed. I don't know how long I stayed like that. Minutes? Hours? Eventually, I rolled out of bed in one motion and grabbed the baseball bat from my closet, dropped to the floor, flipped the blanket, looked under. Nothing. Just clothes, dust, no one. The next morning, I packed a bag and left. I couldn't explain it, couldn't prove it, but I knew something was wrong. I checked into a motel and stayed there for a few nights. Didn't tell anyone, didn't even check my phone for messages. And then, something happened that made me never go back. On the third night at the motel, I got a message on Instagram, a photo. It was taken from inside my room, from under the bed. I was in the photo, lying on my mattress, asleep. Timestamp? 3:14 a.m. From the night before I left. I threw up in the motel bathroom, blocked the account, called the cops. They didn't find much when they searched the apartment, but they did find a few disturbing things. A small hole carved into the baseboard beneath my bed, trash tucked into the corner behind the drywall, and a notebook. Inside were pages, full of writing, repeating lines like, "He breathes so loud. He doesn't know I'm here. I feel close when he sleeps." The notebook had a name on the front. My roommates. They arrested him later that week. Turns out, he'd been hiding under my bed on and off for months. Sometimes the whole night. Sometimes just for an hour, just to listen to me breathe. He told the cops it made him feel connected, that it was intimate. No one knows how long it had been going on, or how many nights I'd gone to sleep with him, inches beneath me. All I know is, there were nights I woke up at 3 a.m. and felt like something was watching me. Because something was. They say real fear is when your reality breaks, when your safety is an illusion. That's what this was. It wasn't a ghost, wasn't a monster. It was a person, someone who lived with me, ate next to me, said hey like nothing was wrong. And yet, he was watching, hiding, waiting. People ask why I didn't notice sooner. But that's the scariest part. You don't notice. Not until it's too late. Not until your sense of safety is shattered. Not until your home, the one place you're supposed to be safe, becomes the last place you ever want to go back to. And to this day, I still wake up at 3 a.m., still check under the bed, because now I know, sometimes, the thing you should be most afraid of is already inside.